The first mistake. The Imperial Warfleet Unbroken Dawn cut through the void like a blade through silk. 37 capital ships, each one a monument to 12 millennia of unchallenged dominance. Their hulls bore the scars of 1,000 conquered worlds, their weapon systems tested on civilizations that no longer had names. Admiral Kethran stood on the command platform of the flagship Eternal Judgment, his 4 eyes scanning the tactical display with practiced disinterest. Another primitive world. Another easy conquest. The 1847th in his career. Preliminary scans complete, Admiral, his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. The target species calls themselves humans. Carbon-based bipeds. No energy shielding detected. Kinetic projectile weapons. Chemical propulsion systems. Kethran's secondary eyes rolled. Chemical propulsion? Are they still burning hydrocarbons? Nuclear fission for their larger vessels, sir. Primitive beyond classification. Threat assessment? 0.03%. The system flags them as non-viable for military conscription. Recommended for labor caste or biological processing. The Admiral settled into his command throne, already composing the conquest report in his mind. The Emperor valued efficiency. This subjugation would take less than a planetary rotation. The humans had 3 orbital stations and perhaps 200 combat vessels scattered across their system. His fighter wings alone outnumbered them 5 to 1. Standard dispersal pattern, Kethran ordered. Destroy their orbital infrastructure first. Leave their homeworld intact. The Emperor may want specimens. The fleet began to spread, a choreographed dance perfected over 12,000 years. Each captain knew their role. Each weapon system had destroyed 100 ships just like the crude human vessels now scrambling to form defensive lines. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. Audio only. Let's hear their pleas, Kethran said, gesturing lazily. Static crackled, then a human voice filled the bridge. Mel. Come. Too calm. Imperial Fleet, this is Secretary General Chen of United Earth. We know why you're here. We've been watching you conquer the galaxy for the past 6 years. We've studied every battle your ships have fought. We've learned your tactics, your weapons, your weaknesses. Kethran's head crest flared in surprise. 6 years? Impossible. The Empire's presence was undetectable to primitive sensor technology. The human continued. We're going to give you one chance. Turn your fleet around. Leave our system. Never come back. The bridge fell silent. Then Kethran laughed, a harsh clicking sound. Destroy their orbital stations. Let them watch their defenses burn. Sir, their vessels are powering weapon systems. All of them? How quaint. Kethran pulled up the tactical view. The human ships were moving into attack formation, standard defensive grid, nothing sophisticated. Deploy fighter screen. This will be over before. Contact. Unknown signatures decloaking throughout the system. The tactical display exploded with new icons. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. Impossible, Kethran breathed. We scanned this system. There was nothing. They're not on our database, Admiral. Unknown configuration. Unknown propulsion. They're using our own stealth technology against us. A chill ran down Kethran's spine. That's impossible. Imperial stealth systems require quantum lattice processors. They couldn't possibly. The first human battleship opened fire. It wasn't kinetic. It wasn't chemical. The beam that tore through the Imperial cruiser Dominant was concentrated plasma, channeled through magnetic fields that shouldn't exist in primitive hands. The cruiser's shields, proof against any known weapon for 3,000 years, lasted exactly 4 seconds. The ship broke apart in a flower of white fire. Evasive maneuvers. All ships scatter pattern theta. But the humans had studied pattern theta. They'd watched it used at the Battle of Corvax Prime, at the siege of the Talos Nebula. In 17 other engagements their primitive radio telescopes had somehow observed from across the void. They knew exactly where each Imperial ship would move. The second volley caught 6 ships simultaneously. Plasma beams crossed the void with impossible precision, guided by targeting systems that predicted not where the Imperial vessels were, but where they would be. Return fire. Destroy them all. The Eternal Judgment's main batteries fired, hurling antimatter shells at the nearest human battleship. The shells detonated against an energy shield that rippled and held, a shield using the exact same technology as the Imperial fleet's own defenses. They have our shields, someone screamed. They have our weapons, another voice added. They have everything. Kethran's minds raced. This wasn't possible. Technology didn't work like this. Species spent centuries developing each new system, each advancement requiring generations of research. The humans had been burning chemicals and rocket engines just 50 years ago. Their fastest vessel couldn't even reach light speed. And now they were destroying his fleet. A human battleship dropped its stealth field directly above the Eternal Judgment. It was massive, larger than anything the humans should have been able to construct. Its hull bore strange markings in the human script. Someone on the bridge translated, HMS Remember Warsaw. The admiral didn't recognize the reference. It was the last thing he never understood. The Remember Warsaw fired every weapon it had at point-blank range. The Eternal Judgment's shields held for 8 seconds, a testament to Imperial engineering. It wasn't nearly enough. As Kethran's ship died around him, his final thought was clear and terrible. We taught them. Every battle we fought, every world we conquered, they were watching. They were learning. Humanity hadn't developed this technology. They'd stolen it, reverse-engineered it, improved it, and they'd done it in 6 years. The Unbroken Dawn fleet lasted 53 minutes. No Imperial vessel escaped. The silence. For 3 weeks, the Galactic Core heard nothing from the Unbroken Dawn. This was not unusual. Subjugation fleets often went silent during initial planetary bombardment. Communications were considered unnecessary when crushing primitives. The Imperial Ministry of Expansion had learned long ago that constant reports only slowed the inevitable. But on the 22nd day, a single escape pod was detected at the edge of the Terran system. It took another week to retrieve it. Inside was Communications Officer Thelcor, the only survivor of the Eternal Judgment. He'd been in an auxiliary compartment when the ship was destroyed, blown clear in a sealed section of hull. His emergency beacon had been damaged, forcing him to drift in the dark for 19 days. When they pulled him from the pod, he was still screaming. The Imperial Intelligence Directorate brought Thelcor to the Obsidian Spire, the windowless tower at the heart of the capital world. They placed him in a medical suspension field and flooded his system with neural stabilizers. It took 6 hours before he could speak coherently. They were waiting for us, Thelcor whispered, all 4 eyes unfocused. They knew we were coming. They knew our formations, our tactics, our everything. Director Vane this leaned forward, her crystalline carapace reflecting the dim light. That's impossible. No primitive species has the sensor technology to. They didn't need sensors. Thelcor's voice cracked. They watched us. For years. Their planet, Earth, they have devices. Telescopes. Radio receivers. They've been observing every battle we've fought within 200 light years. Every transmission we've sent. Every tactical maneuver. Vane this felt something cold settle in her thorax. You're saying they studied us? Studied. Analyzed. Replicated. Thelcor's mandibles trembled. Director, they destroyed 37 capital ships in less than 1 planetary rotation. They used our own weapons against us. Our shields. Our stealth systems. Impossible. Imperial technology requires manufacturing precision that takes centuries to develop. Quantum processors alone. They didn't develop it. They stole it. Thelcor grabbed the edge of the medical table, his claws scoring the metal. 20 years ago, we destroyed the Kretok Rebellion in the Barnard sector. Do you remember? The rebel fleet was annihilated. Total loss. What does that have to do with? One of their ships survived. Crippled, dead in space but intact. It drifted for months before crossing into an uncharted system. The humans found it. They found it, Director. And they took it apart. The room fell silent except for the hum of medical equipment. 20 years, Thelcor continued. 20 years to reverse engineer technology it took us 12,000 years to perfect. They shouldn't have been able to do it. No species learns that fast. No species adapts that fast. Vane stood, her mind's racing. I need to see the battle data. Every sensor log, There is no data. Thelcor's voice dropped to a whisper. They destroyed every ship. Every probe. Every automated system. The only reason I survived was because they let me survive. They wanted someone to return. They wanted us to know. Know what? That they're coming. The Imperial Council convened an emergency session for the first time in 400 years. 7 species sat in the circular chamber, each representing one of the ancient races that had founded the Empire. The Vextar with their 12-fold minds. The crystalline Shen. The phase-shifting Almrati. All of them older than most civilizations, all of them accustomed to absolute power. Emperor Krovax himself presided, his ancient form suspended in a stasis field that had kept him alive for 6,000 years. "This is a fabrication," Counselor Reshtar hissed, his scales flushing orange with anger. "A primitive species doesn't destroy an imperial fleet. The survivor is traumatized. Delusional. The wreckage is real," Director Vainthus countered. "We've sent reconnaissance drones. The debris field around Earth contains the remains of the unbroken dawn. 37 capital ships, reduced to scrap. Then send a larger fleet. 100 ships. 1,000. Reduce their planet to glass. And advertise our weakness?" Vainthus's voice cut through the chamber. "Word of this defeat is already spreading. The slave worlds are listening. The conquered races are watching. If we send another fleet and it fails, it won't fail. The unbroken dawn couldn't fail. We said the same thing about the Kretok rebellion, about the Zendari uprising, about every enemy we've faced in 12,000 years. We always win because we're superior, because we're advanced, because we've had millennia to perfect our weapons." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "But the humans don't need millennia. They need years. Months. However long it takes them to capture one of our ships and tear it apart. Every fleet we send makes them stronger. Every weapon we deploy becomes their weapon. Every tactic we use gets studied, analyzed, and countered." Emperor Krovax spoke for the first time, his voice like grinding stone. "What do you propose?" "We lie." The council chamber erupted in protests, but Vainthus continued. "We tell the galaxy the unbroken dawn was lost to a wormhole anomaly. A natural disaster. We quarantine the Terran system and prohibit all travel to that sector. We make Earth forbidden, untouchable. And we wait. Wait for what?" Reshtar demanded. "For them to die. Humans are short-lived. 50 to 100 years average. Their technology may be advancing rapidly, but their biology is fixed. We wait 200 years. 300. Let their expansion stall. Let them focus on internal conflicts. Then, when they've stagnated, when they've forgotten the threat we pose, we strike," Krovax finished. Vainthus nodded. "With overwhelming force. Not a subjugation fleet. An annihilation fleet. We don't offer surrender. We don't take prisoners. We sterilize every human world simultaneously, before they can warn each other or mount a defense." "A genocide," Reshtar said quietly. "A necessity." The council voted. 7 voices, ancient and cold. The decision was unanimous. The official Imperial broadcast went out the next day. "Fleet unbroken dawn lost to gravitational anomaly, all hands presumed dead." But across the galaxy, in slave quarters,